You're very welcome back to Nationwide. Well, gardens and gardening have never been more popular, especially in these recent months. Our next story takes us to a garden in Dublin which has spectacular vistas from the sea to the mountains. Valerie Waters has met the owner, who has had an interesting story which includes music, hotels and philosophy.
This garden in Killiney, in South County Dublin, is owned by Michael Ryan. He's originally from Dublin's north inner city. He grew up on the North Circular Road, halfway between Dalymount Park and Croke Park. Michael and his late wife Noreen moved here in 1977 and raised their 3 children. Sadly, Noreen died 10 years ago. Michael's 2 daughters and a grandchild live with him now. Michael's garden is well established, but it took a lot of trial and error to get it to what it is today.
I didn't have any background in gardening at all. Coming from where I grew up, we didn't have a garden like that. But I started, and bit by bit, my enthusiasm grew, and the garden started to mature, and I got over making all the mistakes that you make when you're in the full flush of enthusiasm and planting stuff that has no chance of living in this particular environment. And so I ended up planting tough enough plants, creating vistas rather than very fine plants, and tried to cope with the fact that whatever you did here in the garden was growing on rock. And there's a very thin layer of soil, so you have to be very careful with water, and a drought is the real enemy of that. So bit by bit, it only took 40 years, and here we are. Here we are now.
Michael Ryan's background is in music and in hotel and disco ownership. Michael played drums with a band called the Four Keys back in the 1960s. Their singer was Colin Wilkinson. Michael also had a big band which played in the various hotels he co-owned with his business partner Michael Murphy. It was in the late 1960s, when Michael was on holidays in Spain, that he had a light bulb moment.
I saw 2 girls dancing on a patio, and there was no band. There was just a big speaker in the corner, and they were dancing away, and they were dancing to the authentic sounds of the record. And it struck me very forcibly that that was going to put us out of business. So we came back to Dublin, and with my partner Michael Murphy, we opened Sloopy's Discotheque, which at the time was a first. We weren't 100% sure about it, so we had the band playing at one end, we had the records playing at another end, and they were both able to play simultaneously because of the unique architecture of the place, and everyone was dancing to the records. And even though the band had a good following and was popular, the competition from the records was clearly, that was the way forward. And so the disco era was launched.
Pop music captures all the excitement and all the enthusiasm of youth. There's nothing intellectual about an appreciation of pop music. It's something which compels you onto the floor and makes you want to dance.
From that start, which was a phenomenal start in terms of it was accepted almost immediately with long queues waiting to get in. Discos opened up all over the place.
Michael's career path then led him into hotel ownership. His hotels included the St. Lawrence Hotel in Howth and the Kiltiernan Golf and Country Club Hotel. Michael and his business partner also leased the South County Hotel in Stillorgan.
We ended up in the hotel business as an extension of the disco business. That's the way it went. But when you're in a hotel, you have to learn how to run a hotel. So we had rooms, we had a restaurant and a bar. And bit by bit, we got on to discovering how to run the hotel as well as how to run a disco. And it went from there on. We were able to repeat the formula.
Michael Ryan's music career also evolved from a pop covers band to a big jazz band.
As the years had gone by, we had moved from being the young band that used to stand up playing every night to in our older years, the ability to be able to sit down and play. So we changed the mode from pop music to big band music. And it became a very exciting and happy event, both for the musicians and for the people who showed up to enjoy it.
In 1990, Michael retired from the hotel business.
The hotels were fiercely demanding. They're 7 days a week and 24/7. You only got people to bed when you're thinking about breakfast and stuff like that. So we did the best we could, but we were happy to retire. And what happened to us in Kiltiernan was somebody walked in and said, "What do you want to get out of here?" Made us an offer. And after being there for about 3 years, we happily took the offer and left.
It was around this time that Michael Ryan became interested in the philosophy of Plato, and he joined the School of Philosophy in Dublin.
And from then, my interest grew in philosophy more than in the commercial world. And in the philosophy school, I discovered Plato, and I loved Plato, and I stayed there ever since. And I believe that it was my interest in philosophy that turned my attention more to nature rather than commerce. I seem to remember that I ran everywhere when I was in business. I'd get out of the car and I would run, you know. But the garden doesn't really allow that. It takes its own time. And watching things grow connects you with nature in a way that you totally miss when you're in business. You just don't connect with it. So there's something about it that is very therapeutic and very conducive to being still and at one with yourself. And that seemed like the perfect medium to put what was being discussed in philosophy classes into practice. The garden has matured now, and the job now really is to make sure that if it keeps going as they tend to do, that we don't lose the structure and the balance and the vistas that make the garden work. Constant reminder there that something is behind all this beauty that is worth searching for. And so the garden is a good medium. What I've found is that the garden is excellent. It keeps you physically active and mentally at rest.
A thoughtful man with a stunning garden in South County Dublin. Back here in West Cork, I've had a lovely time at the Glenview Gardens, but it is time for us to say goodbye. And so thanks indeed for watching, and from all of us on the Nationwide team, bye-bye.